Welcome to USSO's Eyes on Events.
Hello and welcome to Eyes on Events. Today I'm thrilled to be coming to you from a freezing North Carolina morning at 7 a.m. to discuss the upcoming Irish Association of American Studies Postgraduate Symposium Rupture and Repair held at Maynooth University on November 4th and 5th. I'm excited to be joined today by not one but two interviewees, the co-chairs of the IAAS Postgraduate Caucus, Andrew Clarke and Janice Deitner. Janice Deitner is a PhD candidate in the School of English at Trinity College, Dublin, where her thesis is entitled You Know, Bodies of Knowledge in Shirley Jackson's America. Her research is funded through the Trinity College Dublin Provost's PhD Project Award and focuses on how knowledge creates identity and community, as well as how knowledge is held in various physical and communal bodies in the work and life of American author Shirley Jackson. Andrew Clarke is a PhD student at Maynooth University, funded by the Irish Research Council. His thesis at Maynooth focuses on hybridity and ambiguity in the writing and photography of Teju Cole, and he also holds an MA in Literatures of Engagement from Maynooth. Welcome, both of you, to Eyes on Events. Firstly, to start with the organisational basics for the first question, Rupture and Repair is adopting a hybrid format with a Zoom day on November 4th, attracting speakers from Finland, Spain, Greece, Canada, and Italy, amongst other places. 2 years on from COVID-19's initial outbreak, how has the turn to Zoom affected the Irish Association of American Studies, and how do you hope to harness the benefits going forward through events like this and the hybrid format you're adopting at the symposium on November 4th?
I think it was really important to us moving into this time of year to keep the community that we built online intact, because we have had online symposia the last few years. And so we really wanted to make sure that we didn't abandon the international community that has come together, to attend the online events that we've had. So coming into trying to plan this event, we really talked about how do we do this smoothly? How do we do this in a way that can keep the people who came to us from abroad, from all over the world, to make sure that they know that we're still here for them. One thing that we did last year for the symposium was we set up a Discord server, which is still going as a way to have a community discussion board. And we do have a sort of writing together event weekly to keep that sort of community intact. And the information is on our Discord server, but I think it was really important not to just return to in-person events and just leave that international group that we met over the past few years unable to attend because travel is still so iffy. So I think it was just really important to figure out a way to do this in a hybrid format.
Yeah, that's great. Completely. The list, as I read out, of countries who are attending on November 4th really bears out both the uses and benefits of that format and indeed the attraction and interest in your CFP on rupture repair, which I'd like to talk about now. So going to Andrew, in a 2020 Irish Journal of American Studies article, you concluded that, quote, the events of 2020 and those of early January 2021, with reference here to George Floyd, have left us in no doubt that the fire is here and now. How much more energy can we expend on this theatre of surprise? These events are not surprising. In Ireland, in the USSA, wherever we might be, we need to set about describing our problem properly. This conference and the CFP might be seen to answer that call, the CFP setting recently deeply divisive events in America alongside, quote, longer-standing issues of social atomization, incarceration, gun crime and mass shootings, accelerated climate crisis, and growing social and financial inequality. How do we discuss rupture and balance shock and surprise while maintaining the sense that the United States has always been characterized by division, by long-standing issues rooted, as the Christina Sharp quotation suggests in the CFP, in the wake and, quote, past that is not past of slavery?
Yeah, good question. And thanks. It's nice to be quoted back. I don't think that's happened before. I should say that most of the really elegant words in that are Teju Cole or James Baldwin. That's just me sort of filtering them. So the phrase "theatre of surprise" that Teju is a Teju Cole phrase that he talks about in relation to our performative shock around, outrages of any sort, and it was written before the pandemic, or the issues we might be thinking about in the last few years, the pandemic and the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement in particular in relation to George Floyd, and of course the attack on the Capitol, and all these things will actually be talked about in some of the papers in our symposium, which we're delighted about. It's quite topical, a lot of them. We have a tendency to still act as though these things shock us, and part of the CFP is to acknowledge the brokenness in many ways that's been dominant in the USA, but in the world more generally as well, and what happens in the USA filters to all of us. So yeah, we don't want to be in denial or hiding anything at all. So we felt it's important to say things are not right. There is so much wrong that's happening, but at the same time we're still young and optimistic types in the IAAS, and we don't want to have an entirely pessimistic tone, and we do believe that with rupture can come the opportunity for repair. Things sometimes have to get broken before they get better. Yeah, I think we've a nice balance of that.
That's great. Thank you, Andrew. That also incidentally offers us a perfect through line to the second theme of the CFP, which is repair. The CFP notes that, quote, rupturing can also be the start of a process of repair or strengthening. What role do you think that those in American studies play in this process, and what takeaways do you kind of hope those uniting events like this postgraduate symposium can take for their own participation?
Yeah, it was very important for us kind of thinking about the state of the world to bring the idea of repair into it, and to think about how we can look backwards at what we've been through, which we're still in the middle of. So it's hard to see how to move forward, how to learn from this, how to repair what's going on. And I do think that having that positive aspect of it has really come out in a lot of the papers that we're getting, and sort of people thinking about how do we learn from the past? How do we learn from maybe not similar situations in the past, because I don't think there's been anything quite like what we're going through these days, but I mean, things that have echoes, things that, can speak to what we're going through. And I think the symposium itself, the fact that we are trying to build and maintain a community is something that speaks towards that idea of repairing, that is a positive for anyone who's involved, that they can come and meet other people who are researching the same area, but maybe quite looking at quite different things, and share each other's ideas and feelings, and just sort of build off of that, and also get something positive out of the communal experience of the symposium. That's what we hope anyway.
Okay, and now a question as we move to the general questions at the conclusion of the interview, which you both might want to jump in on. As noted in the CFP, this is a postgraduate symposium. It aims at fostering a supportive and discursive environment for more junior scholars to share their research, exchange ideas, and create lasting connections and networks. In the question I'm going to be asking a lot this year, Andrew and Janice, do you have any advice for those who may be attending or presenting at their first conference on November 4th and 5th, whether that be via Zoom or indeed in person?
I'd say don't listen to our advice would be my main thing. No, I'm not entirely being tongue-in-cheek there, because I sometimes say on social media you might see academics starting very long threads of presentation advice, and if you were to take them all on board, you'd be very confused, and they can be quite self-contradictory. Everyone has their own way. I think if someone is new, but the main thing is to pay attention to the time and the remit, to not be over ambitious. We've all seen multiple presentations where someone says, well, I have 7 more slides, but I'm not going to get to them. So I guess my advice is sort of, as much as possible, try not to let that happen. Have a run through, see how this works. A few vague notes where you think it's 15 minutes can turn into a lot more very, very quickly. So I'd say, yeah, some kind of control of time more than anything.
Great.
Yeah, I would add to that the great thing about the symposium is we do try to make it be a safe space to try out things. So if you haven't presented before, if this is your first in-person conference, we do say, like, don't be too stressed about it. Just, come in and relax. But do practice, do be aware of time. But don't be nervous. Don't be worried. We are a kind community, and it's a really supportive organization in general. It's a good place to present when you're just starting out.
Okay, thank you both for those ideas. And to our final question, to zoom out a bit. The Irish Association of American Studies Postgraduate Symposium is held on November 5th, the in-person day at Maynooth University, an hour or so west of Dublin by public transport. For those who've never been to Maynooth before, I'm particularly looking at Andrew because he studies there. Where do you recommend conference goers go to understand and enjoy the town outside of the conference room before or after these presentations?
Well, our symposium will take place in the North Campus, which is the more modern end of Maynooth University, which is actually only about 25 years old. But Maynooth is based around an old seminary and theological college, which is much older. Sorry, I don't have the date to hand, but a couple of 100 years old. And it has a beautiful old campus. Maynooth is very much a university town. It's really the heartbeat of the town itself, and it's a quiet place in summer when students aren't there. So my advice is to enjoy the atmosphere of the campus, particularly the older side of it, if you get the chance. And we'll be arranging a post-conference dinner in a restaurant in Maynooth town. We hope to have some guests from abroad. A lot of people will, I imagine, be based largely in Dublin, or just coming for the day. We're not far from Dublin. It's about an hour by train. So enjoy the atmosphere of Maynooth. Yeah,
great, fantastic. Okay then, that's all of my questions. It only remains for me to say thank you so much to Janice and Andrew for giving the time to record this today on October 24th. And I'm sure the preparations are getting busy and people are getting nervous and organising everything at this point. So thank you so much for being here. Congratulations on all the amazing work, and particularly the interest and the international interest you've got on the CFP that bears out in the schedule that you have, and good luck with arranging even the remaining components. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your time, Tom. Thank you.